I'm Nat.
Hi, I'm Jo.
And this week's Let's Make It video is all about a festive box card. Let's have a look, Jo.
So that's the card.
Yeah.
And we're using the Sweet Dixie stocking bunting dies.
Yeah.
And the Heltz Couple Ditch Christmas Village paper pack.
Awesome. So let's get going.
Okay. So today we're going to make a box card. The one I've pre-made is 7 by 7, but for today I'm going to make a 6 by 6 card. You can buy packs of cards ready-made, or you can use a piece of A4 card and cut it to size. So that's what I've done here. Now what we're going to do first is put on a piece of paper that we're going to use. I like using this particular one. I think it's really, really pretty, from the Christmas Village paper pack. And there's some absolutely beautiful papers in here. There we go. Okay, so the first things first is all you need to do is stick to the card. Okay, so I'm just using a glue runner to stick it down. It doesn't really matter what adhesive you use. Just a dry adhesive is probably best, less messy. And then I always go across from corner to corner just for added security. Okay, and then we just stick the paper on. Okay, there's your base. Now the other thing we need to do to make a box card is to use a piece of card to create the box. So what I've used here is the offcut from the bottom of the card. Now we need it to be almost the same. Don't worry if it's a little bit different, okay? You can do it 6 by 6 or a little bit smaller to make the most of the card. And we need it to be 4 centimeters across. And we need 2 of those. So I've actually got mine folded in half already. And I'm just going to cut this down to size, and I'll show you why in a minute. So 4 centimeters. And I like to use my trusty knife for everything, because I find you get really good cuts with it. And then we just need to cut that in half. And these form the sides of our box card. There we are. Okay, now we need to score this so that we can crease it. So what I'm going to do is use a scoreboard. And this has actually got centimeters on it. So I'm going to line it up. Right, so we need to score it 2 centimeters in, which is there. And then again, a centimeter. So basically you've got 4 1 centimeter scores. Okay, I'm just going to turn this round and finish it off. Scoring makes folding so much easier. It's a little bit off, but no worries. And we do the same again with the other piece. So let's find a 4. And then again, centimeters. And then I'm just going to turn that round and finish that side. A little bit off, but don't worry too much. Okay, good. Right, now we need to fold the sides. So there are mountain folds and valley folds, okay? So what we need to do, the first fold is in the center, so it looks like a mountain. Then either side we do a valley fold, which means it looks like a valley. So a little bit like a fan. And then same on this. As I say, scoring just makes it so much quicker. Great. Now what we need to do is put some adhesive on these bits. I'm using just this red tape. It's really tacky, really sticky, and it's excellent when you need that little bit more grip. Okay, so we're going to need a piece on each end. Just cut that off. And a piece on the other side. And the great thing about these box cards is they do fold flat for posting. So they don't cost a fortune to post, which we all know Christmas can be quite expensive. Right, there we are. So we've got our card and we have our pieces of card for the box. The next thing we need to do is have a piece of acetate for the middle of the card. Now this one has got snowfall acetate, but you can use plain. So I've actually got an offcut here, but obviously just use an A4 sheet and cut it to size. This one I still have to cut to size. And as I need it sort of 6 by 6. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the card as a guide and just cut this down to size. Right, so that's cut to size. So what we're going to do now is we can either build this up now or do the other die cut. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you how to do this. So we peel off the backing of one side, and what we want to do is have it so you've got, I don't know if you can see here, you've got the valley fold pointing inwards. Okay, and then we just stick it to the edge of the card. There we are. And we want to do the same on the other side. Right, the next thing we're going to do is add some more tape to the acetate, and this will make the centre of the box card. This is what we're going to stick the die cuts to, so it looks like it's floating in air almost. I quite like the effect it gives. I'll put it on here just quickly. I like using this tape actually because it's very quick, very easy to use. There we are. Okay, so now I'm going to stick the acetate to the card, and we just build it up in layers. There's no right or wrong way to build this card up. It's whatever you want to do, whether you want to cut all the bits out first, or whether you want to make it as you go along. Now we're going to stick this to this valley fold part of our box. Don't worry about if anything sticks over the edges, you can always cut it down. It's not a problem. There's one. And make sure that it goes right to the very back of that valley fold. And there we have the start of your box card. Okay, I'm going to now die cut what we need, and I'm going to use this Hobby Base Christmas sentiment die along with the Sweet Dixie stocking bunting, which I absolutely love. Before I do die cut them, I'm actually going to stick them onto one of these adhesive, I'm going to stick the papers onto one of these adhesive sheets because it just makes it so much easier when you're actually applying it to acetate, because there's a lot of glues that don't work with acetate. So I'm going to choose my paper, and I'm going to use, I quite like the red spotty one because I think it goes nicely with the hearts. So many papers in this pack, they're absolutely beautiful. Right, so we're going to stick this to our double-sided adhesive sheet just for ease of use. There we are. And now we can do some die cutting. So my ancient trusty Big Shot. And then we're going to need one of the stocking dies. And I'm going to do these separately, but just in case there's a difference in, you know, some dies are sort of thicker than others. So I just do these one at a time, but I'm sure you could put both through if you wanted to. So just run this through. I tend to run it backwards and forwards just to make sure that I get a good clean cut. There we are, that's that. And then we can do the sentiment. And I just like to fit it on so that I get the most out of my papers. There we are. And hopefully, there we go. We can just, there we are. So we'll put these to one side. And just poke. The great thing with these dies is they've got little holes in, so it helps you to sort of poke out the pieces. So don't worry if they get stuck. You can use a pokey tool, or I tend to use my knife for absolutely everything. There we are. Okay, so once you've finished die cutting and poking all the fiddly bits, we're ready to carry on and do the next part. So what I'm going to do, again, I tend to build my card up in layers, but if you wanted to do the front piece first so that you can see where you are, that's entirely up to you. But I tend to centralize everything and it tends to be okay. So again, just have a play, have fun, nothing too serious. And there's, you know, you could do sort of 2 or 3 layers of the bunting. You can do as I've done here and have the bunting and a sentiment. You know, there's so many different ways that you can play with this card. And as I said before, it folds flat for posting, so that's the joy. It's a little bit fiddly when you've put this sticky sheet on, but it's worth it rather than trying to get glue all over some very, very small bits of card. There we are. And then pop the sentiment wherever you like, really. I like it sort of quite central. Okay, so there's the main part of your card. Now all we've got to do is the front piece. Now on this one, as you could see, I've used a decorative nesting die. It doesn't matter what you've got, you know, in stock or whatever. You can use. Today I'm going to just use a square one to cut out the sheet. So we need another sheet of the same paper as the bottom. You can use a different sheet, it's entirely up to you. And then I'm just going to use some masking tape so that it doesn't move when it goes through the die cutting machine. Again, I tend to estimate because I like handmade cards to look handmade and not absolutely perfect, but it's entirely up to you. If you want to measure and get it absolutely equidistant, please do. Okay, now we're just going to run this through. Okay, so quickly run that through. Oh, don't worry if you've not die cut before and you hear the cracking sounds, and also your plates will end up looking something like this. That's fine, it's no problem. The only time you really need to replace them is if they really start to bow, okay, or you're not getting clean cuts. Otherwise, don't worry. That's perfectly normal. Okay, gently peel off. Masking tape is excellent as well if you do want to keep your die in place. It's not as sticky as sellotape, so it does, she says, come off, and it doesn't ruin the paper. So it's always handy to have some masking tape to hand. There we are. So that's the bit we need. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got the 2 strips here ready. Now you can put it all the way around. I don't think you need it. I think it's just okay to have it on 2 sides, but again, entirely up to you. A bit fiddly, but this is great. This tape, this red tape, is absolutely brilliant. And then make sure you've got it up the right way. And then all we're going to do is to put this on so it reaches the edges. There we are. And there you have it. You have your box card. There we are. So it's kind of makes it look as though this is kind of hanging in the dies are hanging in thin air. I quite like it. And as I say, folds flat for posting as well.
That's it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you liked our video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, set your notifications on so you don't miss any future videos that we share, and we hope to see you all very soon. Bye!
Bye!